We are recording the interview of Larry Litten. This interview is being conducted by Katie Bradshaw from the Wright State University Veteran Voices Project. Also in attendance is Leona Litten. This interview is being recorded at Larry Litten's home in Fairborn, Ohio. It is 4:21 p.m. on December 5th, 2019. Thank you for being here today, Larry.
Thank you for coming.
Would you like to tell us when and where you were born?
I was born in Flushing, Ohio, in the country called Jockey Hollow, Ohio. But Jockey Hollow, it's just a hollow. But actually, it's Flushing Route. You know, it's a little town of Flushing there, out in the country. And I was born down there. It's camera shy here.
So a small little community.
Well, yeah, it's a small community in Flushing there, in Flushing, Ohio, where we were raised. I was raised with a family of 11 children, and I was the fifth of the 11. It was 7 boys and 4 girls, and we all grew up down there in the same house. We grew up raised in the same house. We went to the same school. All graduated from school. We all didn't get through high school. None of us quit. Flushing, it's a great town. Flushing was a great town to be raised in. I raised there. I enjoyed my childhood life down there. I could go up in town and run around at a young age, and as long as I didn't get any trouble, I could go where I wanted to. You know. But we come from a very poor family. Dad worked pretty hard, my mom, and they kept us pretty straight. They kept us out of trouble. They make sure we didn't get in trouble. And it was very enjoyable to grow up down in Flushing. And I had good friends down there. I saw a lot of good people down there. I worked had a job. I worked in. Grew up when I was about 13, 14 years old. Worked at a dairy, helping the drivers deliver milk to the houses in the towns, which I enjoyed a lot. I think I got $1 a day for it, which was, I would have done it for nothing. But it was so enjoyable just getting out of town at that young age and going into a big city, and I just enjoyed myself every minute I was there. And I just every Saturday when I was at school, I'd do this. In summertime, I'd do it 5 days a week. Through the winter, I could just do it on Saturday because of school. And I joined that. And then I had a job working in a garage in town, right there in town. Worked in there greasing cars and changing tires and filling up gas. And I did that for a couple of years for the Shell station that a man named Stoneacre owned. And he was a very good guy to work for down there. He was really good. I enjoyed him, and I enjoyed a lot about the people that came in the garage, you know, and they'd sit around and talk a while, and I'd run in and out, gassing up cars, and it was good times. I used to, me and Jerry would go down into Art. Sometimes we'd go down into Holland and we'd fish a lot. We'd fish at Hall and Jockey Hall a lot. And down these creeks where we'd be hanging around the house where I was born at. Grandma owned a house. And we lived in with Grandma. And but I was born in Aunt Edith's house. My aunt, she lived in Hall down there too, in another house. And that's where I was born, in her house. But I lived in Grandma's house after that. And they raised us up, and we finally got a house like in about 1940 or 41 or something. We moved up in town, and Dad got a house up there. I think he paid $1,500 for it back in them days. It was a pretty old house. And we grew up in that house, all grew up in that house the whole time we was there. So a lot of memories around that place because we used to have an apple orchard down back, and we had a big yard, very big yard. We all had to go out and do our chores a lot. We cut grass for mom and dad. We had to cut grass. We went to the stores a lot of times, you know, and it was really great doing all this stuff with my dad, mom. And it's I don't know. I went to I think I went to work another place down there too, but can't remember. I think I went back to the I quit the garage and I went back to the garage about half a year later. They hired me back again, and I got working back down there where I washed a lot of their cars in. They sent me down there to wash cars, and sometimes whenever I wasn't working, they called me up at the house, and they say, Larry, is he available? Could he come up and wash a couple of cars for us? We got a couple of cars up here and wash her. So I used to get 75 cents a car, you know, made little money there, you know. And it just had a penny candy store. When we were really young, we had a penny candy store. We used to enjoy going into there. The memories of that place was really great. You know, get ice cream cones there. Every time we got a nickel or a dime, that's where we went and spend it. And my uncle, Dutch Lee, he lived there in town there, so I saw him a lot. And he used to haul ashes out for him. I worked for him. We'd haul ashes out and carry coal up wrap outside the house into the house. Because we had coal furnaces and he heated with coal. And we had a lot. When I grew up a little bit older, when I got my car, David went in the Air Force. And Dave left his car for me, you know. So I started driving his car, and I started getting around, you know. So I go to Caddis a lot because, you know, I knew all about Caddis because I was helping the dairy, you know. The guy at the dairy, next door neighbors, helped deliver his milk over there. So I got to learn the town a lot. Went over there, used to go over there, hang around over there, and sit in the restaurants, talking with girls and guys coming into, you know, we made a lot of good friends with the young kids in there, and it was my kind of town. I used to hitchhike to go over there, you know, before I got a car. And hitchhike at the top of the hill there in Flushing. Get a ride. I'd get a ride maybe to New Athens. And I'd pick up another ride on New Athens to Caddis, you know, and I'd go to the movie, you know. Sometimes I was by myself, and I'd watch a movie and I'd come home. You know, I got there edge of Caddis and catch a ride back toward Flushing, you know, Route 9, and yeah, and I get back home. I try to get back home before dark because they didn't like me to stay out too long. But you know, at that age, you know, that then they didn't really pound. If I did get back a little dark, it didn't matter. There, sometimes I did get back kind of late, but not no 10 or 12 o'clock. You know, like that. But then I used to park my car up in the yard there a lot, and I like country music a lot. You know, boy, the old country music, you know. And I used to sit there, pull my car down in the yard, and buy this shrubbery bush. Had a tree growing right up in the middle of a rose bush. The tree grew right up in the middle of it. I used to park my car down right near to that, and I sat there and turned that radio on. Listen to that stations far away, and I listened to Wheeling. Down Wheeling, this jamboree down Wheeling. I used to listen to that. I'd fall asleep out there. But I wake up in the morning, the car radio was still on, you know.
It wouldn't kill the battery?
No, it did. I had on that car, even then, they had they called it an ignition switch. It was, I think, if you turn to the left, it doesn't drain the battery, like real bad. it just turned that they had the name for that. It still run. You could run it off the battery, but it was just the radio was rated the battery, and the radio didn't take much power, but did burn the ignition up. Usually, if you leave them on, you burn up the coil, burn up the parts of there because the ignition was on too long. But I did that, and it was a joy. I enjoyed listening to that music. So I'd come in the house 6 o'clock in the morning, say, "Wait, I've been out in the car sleeping." And we used to camp out. Sometimes we'd play. We'd play, and we made tents and all that in the backyard. At summertime, we'd 2 or 3 of us would get in a tent, and we'd sleep in it all night out in the yard in the tent, a homemade tent we made. We used to, like they say, we used to play ball down there in the ball field, down there in the yard, which we had a pretty big backyard back there. Not much too lot in the front, but back to back. We had a woods in the back. It went way down in the woods, like apple orchard, more or less. So, and we used to play down in the apple orchard down there. There used to be vines hanging off of the maple trees, great big huge maple trees. These big old vines hang down, and we used to swing off of those things and try to go across this creek. It was down there. The water ran out of the dairy there by our house. It ran down through that way, through the creek, you know. And where it went, I don't know. Where it went on down by the railroad track someplace. But I used to sit there and used to swing over top of this creek, you know. Sometimes we'd fall in the creek, sometimes be all muddy and dirty. And there's a couple of times we dammed up that thing down there, and we shouldn't have been in that whole water. That water came from the dairy anyway, most of all of it. It was, you know, rain would go down through there too, but it rained the sewage out of town, because the town was up in the hill, on a hill. And we was sort of down, the street down the hill, and the water would run down into that and run on down out to the hollow there. And it was just a good time, you know, doing all that. We played ball down there. I played ball down there, and some of the other kids come down and play. We used to make our own bats, like we said talking earlier, that used to make them out of tree limbs, you know, and carve them up, you know, and play ball. We make a ball. I think we used to make out of cloth and wrap them up, you know, or duct tape or something like that. And they make them about that big, and we was not really playing to hit them over this fence then. This was earlier, you know. I think Jerry played, but anyway, what we was doing, I'd bat left-handed, because I was a right-handed hitter. It wasn't that big of a yard, but it was pretty big. And we had a third base, second base, and a first base, and we had a pitcher's mound up here. Well, the pitcher's mound was wore down just from playing every summer, almost all the time, growing up down there. The ground was wore down that deep. And it was just a swell down there, like this pitcher's mound was sitting down to where up here was still the ground, you know. Maybe we just wore that ground down from pitching so much. Then we decided, well, what we do is hit left-handed. We hit left-handed. We wouldn't hit. We had a three players playing, I think. Somebody played third base. We always tried to hit it down third, or we'd run around the bases, you know, play base, just play. We used to play golf down there too. We get off the subject, but well, you got to hit. We'd count our runs that way. We won. But I think Dave, me and Kenny, I think played against Dave and maybe Art, and one of the other kids around town. Sometimes he'd come down and play, and we'd have a team up, and that's how we'd play. We just batted left. Sometimes when we was playing harder ball, later that we used to get a tennis ball. And we're going to throw hard. We're going to throw hard now. So we moved the pitcher's mound back to second base. So that's where we played. That's when we started hitting them over the fences and all that, because we was throwing them hard. And we had to hit this tennis ball. Sometimes we'd hit that thing clear over the house. I mean, go out on the road, out across the street, over the neighbor's yard, all across the road. And it was every time you hit one over that fence, it was a home run. You know, that was a run. That's right. If you didn't get it over the fence, it was an out. You know.
So at what point did you decide that joining the Air Force sounded like a good idea for you?
Well, I was about to get drafted, you know, and then, well, I think I better think about going to the military, you know. So I parked the old car there one day and told Mom, Dad, so I'm going to join the Air Force. I talked to her earlier about Mom and Dad both. Well, I'm going to go in there, so grabbed I said, I'm going to go, and then I think Jerry was there, and Jerry said, I'm going to go too, you know. Yeah, he had nothing to do either, you know. So we started talking about it, then Kitty, I guess Kitty had heard about it, and he came home. He said, I'm going to the Air Force too. So one day we set up an appointment with the recruiter to come down. Went down to his office down there. Dad took us down, I think, and dropped us off. Brought us. I don't know. Remember he bring me? I think he brought me back, but it's another time we went down there for another reason. You know, when we had to walk back. I'll never forget that walk back. But anyway, he said, well, we're all three going to go in the military. You know, well, that's fine with him, boys. Yay! Well, that's three more I don't have to feed. I suppose it may help him, but he still cared. He still, you know, wasn't that. It made it easier on him anyway, because he lost 3 kids out of his family just like that, and he already had 3 or 4 going, girls, and some of the girls, and boy. That really emptied the house out of 11. And that time we only left about 3 left, or something like that. 3.
Was the recruiter surprised to see 3?
Yes, he was very excited about that, and he says, "I think I'm going to get you guys in the same time, same day." He said that was his. That's what he said. I will get you into service the same day. Then, but it had a time where there was only 2 slots in it. And he says, "Well, I won't let you, I'm not going to take you off the list yet. I'm going to move somebody else up. I want to get you into all 3 in the same day." Well, it wasn't long. A few days later, he called us back up and said, "Come on down here. We're going to get you sworn in and all that," because we'd already signed up. You know, Dad took us down there. We went down there. That's the second time we went down there. It was like we went down to sign up, I think. And I don't know how we got down there. Do you remember? I remember walking back. I think somebody took us down, but I think we walked back. But we hitchhiked back part of the way. It was about 12 miles. That was a long ways walk.
Right. That was a long ways.
Yeah. And that's just where I'm going to do. I just signed up. So we signed up, and signed up. And he said, "Well, we're going to get you down, I'm going to stop down at your house. I should give a certain day, 2 or 3 days later." He said, "I'm going to pick you up and take you up to Pittsburgh. You know, I'm going to get you in the sworn in, get you in the military up there." You know.
Was that for them to do a physical, or that was to actually leave?
That was to get me the physical. Yeah, but as to get the physical, go take our physical. That's what it's about. We went up and took our physical. And he stayed up there, and we all passed the physical. But I think after that he went home because when we left Pittsburgh, we didn't go back home. You know, they flew an airplane in from somewhere, a C-47 plane, old called they call it had a name for it, that thing. But anyway, we flew that on that C-46 all the way to Texas. We got on the plane. We left about 10, 11 o'clock at night. We got down there early in the morning. You know, down there that morning. They put us in this big room, and there we got off the plane. Put us in this big room and give us an orientation, you know, about that. And I got ID tags down there while we were down there in that place. And they marched us over after this. That was all done. They marched us over to the clothing sales store. clothing, not clothing sale, but the clothing store where we get all our military clothes. It issued us all our clothes. Me, Kenny, Jerry, all went down there and got all our clothes. And they marched us to the barracks. This is where you're going to live, you know. And so we did there, and I think we was all right there on the same floor, on the same bottom floor. It had it upstairs. None of us was upstairs, but just all three of us was downstairs. And I remember waking up, and I get waking up early in the morning, and I hear that reveille. And they had reveille, get up, you know, get up. And they go to march you to chow, and you run out there, and you got in line. They marched you to chow. We had a training instructor, you know, to that barracks. He lived in the barracks with us, you know. He was our instructor, you know. He's the one to shoot with and stay out of trouble with. And we had another one. He was only a one-striper. Worked with him, and he worked some of the time too. But I think I don't know. I'm not sure, but I think since he was a one-striper, I think he fell back or something. They kept him in the military for a little while, hadn't discharged him yet, and I think he was getting ready to discharge because he was a troublemaker. He was hard on us. That guy, the regular staff sergeant that was running it, boy, he was pretty good with us, you know. But he wasn't too easy. It wasn't really easy on us either, but he a lot better. I think I teach you, you know, like that.
Well, I imagine it was comforting to have your brothers there, so you weren't doing it alone.
Yes. I got a picture of out there. I should have brought that in here. A picture of our squadron. We had, I think, about 80-some people in that picture. You know, standing up there. Our flight number was 703. That was our squadron number. 703 training squadron. And I met a lot of good friends and good guys in there. The chow runner, he was a chow runner. Every morning he had to run down chow, say, is it okay to come in and chow? And he'd run back, bring it, okay, chow's okay. And then they'd march us down into the chow. They'd come back. It was, you know, it was disciplined. It was, you know, you just didn't get out and just run out there and go to chow. You had to march every place. Every place you went out and you went marched, unless you had kind of in the evening at a certain time, and in the evening, whenever you was all back in your barracks and you still had a little more daylight, you could go outside. It had a patio out there. You could sit out there, drink Coke or something like that. And a few things you could do out there. And you could sit there and just take it easy, talk to your buddies and all that like that. But that was only relaxing times it was. The rest of the time, boy, during training, it was march, you know. But we didn't have to do really hard things like Army does, you know. We didn't go through too much of that, you know. But we had to learn to shoot the rifle, you know, with rifle range, you know. And I scored really good on down there. I did pretty good on rifle range, expert. I know. I don't know why I loved it. It had I think didn't have a scope on it, but later on I passed that up. But I had one with a scope on it where I shot a groundhog one time. It must have been 100 yards away. He just had his head sticking out of the hole, and it's just like a small dot way up there. He gets very safe. I put a scope on him, right there. He had his head sticking out the hole. Right there. But I was pretty good at shooting a rifle. I can't. I ain't too good with a pistol because I got one, but I don't know how to. I just not good with it. She's better than I am. And
so when you were in basic training, how did you find out what job you would have?
Well, when they put me in there, after we got through basic training, they give us a slip, a paper. I still got that too. It had about four different areas you could put you had to take a test. Okay, I think we took this test during training, I think. And what like electronics, mechanical, electronic, hydraulics, or electrical, whatever. They had these 4 categories where you took a test on all these questions, and the one you scored the highest in is usually what they tried to put you in. and I was into mechanics. And I said, well, mechanic, okay, that sounds good, but I had no idea what I was going to be doing. You know? And then they come out, they said I was going to go to Amarillo, Texas. Amarillo, Texas for my training up there. I said, well, I don't know what to do. Didn't see what, well, I know it said airframe repairman, but I had no idea what an airframe repairman was. And when I got up there, up there, they put me in a barracks up there, and they said it has all sit there, and I met a bunch of new guys too there, you know, and they marched us to chow there too. We only did 4 weeks of basic training at Lackland. We was only there about a month. And we had 8 months left of training left. So we did that other 8 months up in Amarillo. So during that 8 months, you know, first 8 months we were up there, we had to march to school, march back, back and forth. And after the basic training was over, then we could walk back on our own, you know. But they just left us alone. We went to school, we did our training, and they said, well, you're going to be in sheepman. Took me down. What took me to school when I found out, well, I'm working on airplanes. Oh boy, you know. So they had, we went to airframe school, airframe repair school, and had this old man. he was a comical guy, a nice guy, you know. He taught us, you know, how to, you know, about our tools we were going to use, how to use them, how to be it. Anyway, but we went to school. We had to do repairs on it. To pass a test, we had to do we had to cut a hole in something and patch it back up. So they put us in teams. It was me and another guy from Pennsylvania. His name was Scarborough, yeah, Scarborough. And him and I taken him. He was a nice guy to work with. He was really good. You know, we worked together. They had to chop off. They cut a hole through the top of the wing with a metal that thick. Of course, you don't normally. Normally, when in a real airplane, if one that flew, you never do that. But this is just a training how to repair it. So we had to cut a hole in that thing and flush patch it. You know, put a doubler behind it, the piece of metal all behind it. Then cut out a plate the same size as the hole. We had to smooth the hole out real shiny and nice, and don't leave no sharp corners. Make them rounded edges so you crack crack. You get if you leave a point like that, you'll vibration from flying an airplane, it'll crack. It'll start cracking out there. So they round it. Then we laid this nice patch, same size as that hole, laid it right down on top of that, and it made it just flush, you know, the skate. And we did a good job on that. Passed us and all that. And then I learned. Then I started when I went to Lincoln, Nebraska. They sent me after I passed got my training done.
And with the job that you're being trained for, did you enjoy it?
Yes, yeah, I enjoy doing that. So this is going to be great, you know. So then but I had a lot to learn yet, you know. I was just a 010. They call it. When you go to your base, you're a 010. Then you get up to your base, Lincoln. Where I went to Lincoln, I got to be a 3 level, pretty fast. You know, I learned like that. Then I stayed at 3 level till, well, you had probably another couple years, you know. And I made a year. I made my second stripe the second year. Then in that school, we had to do we sat and did a lot of calisthenics like that in the mornings. When we came to work, we did calisthenics, and I got to go out. Then I got to go out and work on airplanes, you know, and repair. But somebody always kind of check your workout too, because I was just a 3 level, you know, not fully trained yet, all the way. But I mean, I knew what I was doing. But they come out and say that I finally took a 5-level test, on it. Well, yeah, because you learn out of the book too. You learn out things. You learn how drawings, cut out how many rivets you put in between each other like this, how many rivets, how far apart are they, how high are they supposed to be bucked on the bottom of it, you know, where they put an iron bar up and you hit them like this with a gun, and an iron bar behind just flattens it out like that. You know, that's what holds it, that's what squeezes, that's what holds the thing together. And they got you know, pretty good at doing that. And I test, I scored good on the test. I passed my test, my 5-level test, and then I got to go out on my own, where no one had to follow up on me. You know, but we did go out to the flight line or go into the hangar to work on an airplane. We did have like a staff sergeant over there. But the flight line now, yeah, speaking of flight line, we had an air first class. He's been an older guy, he'd been in longer, and he kind of watched over us too, because he's sort of our supervisors. They were supervisors to us, more or less. But we did have a shop chief too. He just stayed in the shop and more or less, you know, did the paperwork and keep us all in order too, you know. But he had people out, like staff sergeants, help working behind us, seeing that us. 1, 2, 3 stripers was out doing the work. Some of the 3 stripers had to work too.
So this was at
Lincoln, Nebraska.
Lincoln, Nebraska.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I spent 4 years out there to Lincoln, Nebraska, 4.5 years actually. I extended. I didn't know whether I was going to re-enlist or not. So they say, well, you sign up 9 more months and you can give it. You think about it, you know. So I signed up 9 more months. And I kept going on, and well, they had this early getting out. Like I used to tell you about Art. It's the same time, at the same time. Yeah, cut down. So I think I'll just get out. So instead of serving, I didn't have to serve that whole 9 months. I was past my 4 years, but I was up around 6 months past, and so I got out in February '64. And I got out, I stayed out of the service for about 2.5 years. I went to work at a steel mill. I got a job at Boeing Aircraft Company out in Washington. So I packed my stuff and went to Washington. Worked out there in the factory out in Renton, Washington. And I worked out there maybe about almost a year. And I said, you know, I don't think I like this working building airplanes. I said, I'd rather work on them than build them. You know? So I think I'm just going back into service. So I went to Tacoma up to Seattle. I went up to Seattle. And I got I'm working in Seattle too, but I was living in Tacoma. I went back up to see the recruiter up there. I wanted to go back into service, and I told him about, yeah, well, we get you in. Got to go wherever he wanted, you know. I asked, where do you want to go, you know? And they signed me back up in the military, and they gave me my orders like that, and off I went back to Columbus, back home, back to Columbus, Ohio. And they sent me to Lockbourne Air Force Base. It's now called Rickenbacker, but it's Lockbourne when I was there.
Is that base still there?
Yes, it's a reserve unit there, I think now, but
okay.
The reserve unit, I think, still there. That might be a Navy, or there was a Navy organization there too. Why they was doing there, I can't tell you why they had some Navy unit there, but they had some job. But I've heard stories like that before, since then, you know, about the Navy being on a military Air Force base. Well, what are they doing here, you know? And but anyway, I went to the Lockbourne, and they signed me back down to the sheet metal shop, and I just picked it up right where I left off when I got out. I kept my 5 level, you know. I didn't have to retrain for that, but I lost the stripe, you know. They took a stripe away from me. But after 6 months, I had it back. I just took 6 months and I got it back to me. And then I worked there about, how long was I there? About a year, I guess, a year and a half. And my brother Ken, He was over in Southeast Asia. Yeah, well, they couldn't send. They didn't. I told him, I says, I got a brother over there. I don't want to go now. You know. So okay, we stick around a little while longer, and I just kept working there, and I eventually got to where he came back home. And it wasn't more than about a month later after he got back home, I had orders to go over there, you know. I said, okay, bye, I go, so I'll go. So they flew me over to California and caught a flight there, a commercial flight. They flew us to a commercial plane over there, and landed in Bangkok and stayed there all night. That was when they got to Bangkok. And when in Bangkok, they C-130s come in there, and they picked us up. It took us to our bases where we were assigned, you know, into the combat zone, you know, with all the things going on. So they flew me into Ubon. That's the name of the base. Ubon, U-B-O-N. That was near Laos, and just probably about 60 miles from Vietnam, not very far. Just because Laos, Cambodia, they come down there so well. Laos or Laos, Cambodia was over here, but Laos, it was a real thin down, right, coming down like that. It wasn't far. You could be into Cambodia and in Vietnam in no time, you know. And so I was over in Vietnam for a year.
When you were in Vietnam, were you still doing the same kind of work?
Yes. You know, same thing in Vietnam. I worked on the F4s, and F4Cs when I got there. And they were getting in, when I got there, they started getting in a few F4Cs, C models, which they were more updated. Same looking airplanes, same thing, but they had more equipment on it and all that. But it was a new airplane, and I enjoyed that because it wasn't as much work. These old ones were getting pretty well wore out. We paid a lot of work to keep them flying. And so I spent another year working on the F4s over there. And I kind of liked them. I didn't like them when I got there. I said, man, these things are hard to work on too. And everything's so tight and where you can't get into nothing, you know. But after I was there a while, I learned a few tricks from the other guys, how they do things. Well, yeah, that makes the job easier. I had to learn how to work on them F4s. They were different. And I fixed a lot of patches in the whole a lot of bombs. They drop bombs in Vietnam. They go over there. They drop their bombs off. They have arming wire on the wings. It goes back to the bomb, to that little propeller back there. When they drop that bomb, it releases. It slides off of that wire, and all these arming wires hang on to the airplane. And the bombs drop down there, you know, on the ground, and blow it up, you know, where they could.
What year were you in Vietnam?
1967, I got there, and I left in 1968.
Okay, so you were there for some rough years.
Yeah, well, that was a 10 offense. That was busiest. That was a lot. That's why they had the most people over there. They kept building up more and more people because I think it was planning on getting ready to maybe try to bomb North Vietnam, I think. But they wasn't touching. They were just going to South Vietnam. They wasn't going over on the north side. You know, they was shooting these. Fighting these guerrillas. They call them. Viet Cong. They called them Viet Cong, not the North Vietnamese, but the Viet Cong. Well, they were Korean. They were Vietnamese too, but they were on our side. You know, the North Vietnam was not. Yeah, and so we worked there, and while I was there, I got to go TDY up to Tok Lee, another base in Thailand. I got to go up there, and I worked on 105s. And it wasn't a pretty easy airplane. I did a lot of work. I got some pictures over there. I think you've seen some of them, where I was working on the engines of the.
So you were in Thailand in support of the Vietnamese war.
Yeah. Oh yes. Yeah.
Okay,
oh
okay.
yeah. That's where all of our planes were going. Vietnam.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
so
support.
the planes would come back and forth from Thailand.
Yeah. But it wasn't very far.
Repair them. Right.
Yeah. That's why they put them. They were safer over there. You know. Yeah.
Well, and you were, I suppose, a little bit safer.
Yeah. I was too.
Ways away.
Well, I was a little safer there. I did. Yeah. I guess I was anyway. I went downtown there, but you know, I didn't go downtown much when I was at Ubon down there. When I was at Tok Lee, I went downtown with a friend of John, my brother John. You know, he went to school with him. I knew him. I knew him when he was in school. But he was stationed over there in Talk-Lee. And when I got up there, I had the Air Force Times paper, and I was looking at it, and they always put assignments where so went so and so and so and so. And I went in looking at that. I always like to look at that, see where some guys went, see if I know anybody, you know. And I read it across this one guy. He was recently assigned to Talk-Lee. His name was Archie Thrash. You know, Archie Thrash, that's John's best buddy. You know, so I said, but I had to go look him up. You know, and I found out he worked right down in the same building I was working in. I went down and looked him up. Went down there and I went down in the shop there, and he's working in NDR. It was where what they did was like X-rayed like engine, parts of engine, see if it had any cracks in the structure of the airplane, so it didn't just blow up, you know, because they always NDI, they called it NDI. I don't know what I can't remember what it stood for, but it was just they detected cracks and damage, anything, so they could fix it before it blew up and crashed the airplane or something. But they brought parts in, he had to inspect them, make sure there wasn't any cracks in them before they could take them, put them back on another engine, you know, put it back in the engine. So he did that. And I went down there and I said, Archie, we just had a good time talking. He says, hey, Larry, you been downtown yet? I says, no, I haven't yet. I ain't been here too long yet. I said, let's go down and have a steak, you know. So we went down. We went down. We got these we call it Sam Lowe's. Sam Lowe's, the drivers. It's a kid on a bicycle. It had a little trailer, a little back thing here where you could set two people in it. And he'd be pumping down the street like that, pumping them, not on a motorcycle, just pumping that thing, wheel down, taking us down to town, which was just outside the gate, you know. Got us down there, and we went to this steak restaurant, got with a Kobe steak. Oh boy, a Kobe steak. That's usually what that means is, I don't know if you know what a Kobe steak is or not. It's a meat that they said on a beef that they take and all its life, a cow's life, they massage that part. Massage their legs or wherever it comes from. You know, it's really supposed to be really tender. It was pretty good, but it wasn't that great. I mean, it was cooked over there, but it was good. You know.
Didn't quite taste like home.
No, it wasn't quite like what I expected, but it was good. I just liked to be with Archie. I said, oh man. So when I went to work down there, I was there for about 3 months. We was there for TDY 3 months up there. Then I went back to Ubon, you know, up there. And while I was over there, I had my best friend I had at Ubon there. He was from Findlay, Ohio, you know. And him and I go downtown to Ubon down there every now and then. We bought, I don't have the clock here now. I give it to my sister. My mother, I bought it and gave it to my mom. This clock, I hand carried it all. When I come home from Thailand, no, I mailed that back home, that's right. But I bought 2 more later and hand carried them home. I sent it home to Mom, and she had it all these years running good, and it still runs good today. Still runs good. Never been to a shop. It's a Seiko, and I paid $17 for it.
It's supposed to be made of higher quality, I suppose.
It was a Seiko clock, a Seiko. And it was made in Japan. That's where they make them at. But I bought it in the store down in Ubon, in town there. $17. And I bought, like I said, I bought 2 more after that. They only cost $14, but they didn't have quite as much thing on the front. They didn't have the date or something on it. It was different. It was a little cheaper. And so I brought 2 more home. And I guess it was, I just, ties, you know, there's some They're pretty good. It was pretty good to us, you know. We had Thais working at the shop. This regular civilians, just Thais. But they didn't do anything. They hired them, just give them a job. And they sit around and do nothing, used to gab with us. And they, I could tell them, do this, do that. Well, they'd do it, you know, some small thing, you know. And that's what I thought they had good relations with Thailand, you know. It's like it's more. And I got some pictures of a couple of them working on a fiberglass something. It's a tank. It was fiberglass. Had fiberglass, and I hate fiberglass. Ugh. When I was at Lincoln, did a lot of fiberglass work, and fiberglass. You just got up, you sands fiberglass down like that, and that glass out there sand, that stuff gets up on your arm here. It just breaks out in a rash all down through there, and it stays sore for a long time. But you're supposed to have gloves on. You work on it. And you're supposed to have your sleeves tied up, but I never did that. You know.
That sounds miserable.
Yeah, it took a long time to heal up there, but.
Well, a couple of things that have stood out to me. So one is, it seems like a lot of young men from your area join the service.
Yeah, well, about that, yeah, probably quite a few, I suppose. It was Clarence Rouse, he went in the Army down at Flushing. I remember him, and some of the guys went in after us, though. I can remember. Some of the older, like John, some of his buddies went in. You know, Archie and about three of them, John and one or two more. They all went in about the same time.
Were they joining because they wanted to have some control over the branch rather than getting drafted to the Army?
No, I don't know. I think they knew they was going to have to go sooner or later, but they just joined up. I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They just joined up and. John got lucky, he sent him to Germany. I'd love to go to Germany. I spent about 8 years wishing I was going to Germany. I could get to Germany. Finally, I got there. You know.
So after Thailand, where did you go?
From Thailand, I went to Eglin Air Force Base, Florida. Okay, I went to Florida, down to Eglin, down there. And I liked that job. That was a very good job. That was working with civilians, and that you can't beat working with civilians. You know, they don't like us, but we like them. Civilians don't like GIs coming in, and no, they just. But we come in there. We just really we didn't do anything special big because they always wanted to handle all that stuff like that. We was more or less their helper, but you know, we went on the flight line. I did the same thing I did really down there. We had different kind of T-29s and C-131s. They were really a prop airplane. We had several different airplanes down there with different kinds. Had B-52 down there, and they had B-57s. But they just had one or two of each. You know, it was a base. It was a systems command. We called it. It was systems command down there. And they did a lot of modifications on the stuff. Taking these tanks off of F4 engine. I could look like F4 tanks. Fuel tanks on the wing. On the wings, they just look like an engine, but it's not an engine. It's a fuel tank. Got fuel in it. And they put mounted cameras in them, and they make them so they test. It's testing thing. Take pictures. Used to take. We go to Vietnam and wartime and take pictures. You know, of places. So you call the bombers up and tell them, hey, there's a place to target there. Send the bomber up there to bomb it. You know, so it was a deal like that. It was really good down there, but. I stayed there. I was there for two years, and I bought a house down there, and I decided I thought maybe I'd stay. I said no, I'll go get out of the service. I don't know why I got out of the service. My older brother came down. He came down there. He came down to Eglin there one time and visited me. He says, Larry, he says, you got to stay in. You're in the military. Yeah. I said, nah, I could get out, you know. But I did what I was going to do. I got out. But he tried to talk me into staying. Well, I got out. Then I stayed out. Eglin. What I do? I went back to Sugar Creek, Ohio, down the Amish country. You know, if you know where the Amish country is, down in Guernsey County, where Jerry used to live down there, and Tuscarawas County too. Holmes County, it is. Holmes County and Tuscarawas County, close to where Jerry lived. And I went down there, and I got a job. I worked in a foundry there as a welder. I learned to weld down there. welded for a while, and we made trash containers behind. It goes back in behind the grocery stores, and they dump their boxes and their trash out behind the stores into these bins. They had a big basher thing. Had a hydraulic cylinder that pushed all that up into a great big, long, round tank. It was we made the tanks there too. I built the tanks. Well, I was welding. I welded, put all these big pieces of round together. It's a round tank, and it's about 35-foot long, you know, say. And they pulled them up on the back of trailers. These companies had a truck made for it to do that. And they take the trash to the dump. They bring it back and put that back down behind the store again. They hook it back up to that basher that I was working on. I worked on both parts actually. I worked on that basher, and I worked on the tanks too, the containers that they put it in. And then I said, well, I ain't making much. I'm going to do one thing. I said, I think I'm going to run out to trailer factory, build trailers, home mobile homes. And I went out to east of Sugar Creek, and I worked out there. And that place, I mean, it wasn't too bad, but there's a lot of rivet. When they was shooting rivet, they put this trailers together so fast. You know, you build a trailer, several trailers in one day. The way they come through there, they have a big door. They come bring in a door with just a frame. And they put it down here on tracks sideways down here. A crew down there would do so much work to it. When they got done with their part, they run it up to the next place, and they did their part. Then we went up to the other place, and they did their part, you know, until it come out to the other end, it was done, you know. And so I said, well, rivets, I mean, not rivets, but nails. They had these shooting gun nails. Just holy mackerel. The things are dangerous, you know. They hit it and it splinter off and it shoot off something. So I'm going to get my hell hurt in here. I after about 3 or 4 months in there, I said, well, I think I would join back in the Air Force again. So I went back to Sugar Creek where I was living, and went down to talk to the Air Force recruiter down there, and he says, I don't know if I can get you back in or not, because Vietnam was going on, you know, there. And pretty good. That's what I went in. That's what I went to Vietnam. But anyway, they sent me to Columbus. I did get back in. They sent me to Columbus. Yes, it was. I get confused a little bit about basically about Vietnam and Lockmore and that area there, England. I can't remember what's come first, but I went back in the Air Force that second time, and he put you on the list, you know, see if you can get in. And I was about a week later, he called me up. He said, you still want to get in the service? I said, yeah. The Vietnam was going on heavy over there. Boys, so I went down, put me in there. And where do you want to go? He says, well, send me up to, where did he send me? I go back to, I went to Wright Pat. I think I went to Wright Pat. Up here, I think. And got me put back in the sheet metal shop, in the Wright Pat, right here at Wright Pat. I worked in SAC airplanes, B-52s, the big bombers. And that was a pretty good airplane. I worked on the tankers with it, the ones that refueled the bombers. We had two different kinds of planes. And we repaired the airframe, you know, anything that was broken or cracked or anything. That was my job. Taking care of the airframe of their plane. Any part of that airframe that Boeing put in that airplane when they built it, that was I had to work on it. I didn't work on the engines, I didn't work on hydraulics, I didn't work electrics or anything like that. Just the airframe, you know, the metal part.
Okay, so you weren't considered a crew chief because you were doing that.
No, I wasn't a crew chief, no. I was called field maintenance.
Okay.
Field maintenance. Field maintenance was a squadron that had done the maintenance on the airplanes. We had electricians, we had hydraulic people, we had sheet metal workers, we had all in our squadron, and we all sort of worked in the same building most of the time. And they would send for electrician. They'd get an electrician out there. If they wanted a sheet metal guy, they get a sheet metal guy out there, you know. And but we were field maintenance actually. They changed the name. They done away with field maintenance. They went to component repair squadron. I didn't like that. But for one thing, it took it took people out of the shop. I found that out when I went to Germany. But when I was at Wright Pat, now about 7.5 years there. And Wright Pat was getting ready to close their the wing. I was going to get rid of the B-52s. They're going to, yeah, I don't know what happened to them. But anyway, before they closed, I got assignment. I put in for assignment at Cross Base. So I put on that, and I had to go put my name on a recruit for it. It was a selected. They had to select you. I just put my application in more or less. You know, they had to have a picture of me and information, you know, about what I did before and all that. And it's great. It was kind of great because I was right at Wright Pat. I didn't have to move. You know, I had to stay in the same house. You know, what was that? And that kept me there for another extra 3 years. I was in SAC for 3.5 years. 3.5 years. SAC 71 to 74. 71 to 74, 3.5 years. Then I went over to the orientation group there, and I got that job over there, working in there. And that what we was doing when I got there was building exhibits to take out on the highway, on the roads in the towns, all through the cities, and display them for recruiting purposes. I get people to sign up, you know, so they come out and ask you questions. Oh, you know, we park airplanes right out in front of the parking lot, you know. We haul them on the back of a trailer sometimes. Sometimes we had a van, just a van. It had you take a van and you walk in the van, and the vans would have cameras and pictures going on, you know, that show a lot about the things to do with the Air Force, you know. And it was for recruiting. That after we did get a brand new, it was a F-15 aircraft. It was brand new. It only about a year old. They only had about a year. The Air Force hadn't really put them out out yet. They was about to come out. The Air Force was going to get it, but they had the first one to come off the assembly line. I think McDonnell Douglas or somebody built it, and they was testing it. What they started testing to see whether they going to build a bunch of them or not. They brought one in there. They said, "Well, gee, how come they don't take that thing out and fly?" Because Edwards Air Force Base pulled tests on them. They did all modifications. They cut it all up, doing this. They cut this and fix that. It only had 220 hours on it, on the airplane. And that was not very many hours flying time, but they only flew it for a few minutes at a time because they was just testing out a part on the airplane. They'd work a month on the airplane, then they fly it for 15, 20 minutes or a half hour, bring it back, and they may not go flying again. Say, well, that's why it didn't have so many hours on it. And we fixed it. We tore that thing all apart. They set it up for display. So they cut the wings so we could remove the wings off of it, put it on trucks and trailers, and hauled it. We hauled that thing to Oklahoma City the first day. And they set it up for display down there at the fair, the county state fair. I think they had it down there. They showed that down there, and that's what that was about. Then the bicentennial come around. Oh, well, we're going to be involved in the bicentennial, the 200-year anniversary of that. Yeah, so that was a whole different program. That was public relations. That wasn't recruiting. So we went into got these vans in, brand new vans, and we modified these vans, put all kinds of equipment inside of it. Made it look like a theater inside, you know, and the doors would clear out on the side. In other words, if it was 20 foot, 15, 20 foot wide, extended out further, you know, further out. So it had like an extra room in there. And we put our cameras in. It had cameras in there. Our shows was like cameras. They took pictures of a story about the Air Force and all that. It was just you're trying to. It was more or less public relations at the Air Force, because they wanted the people to come out and see what the Air Force is doing for them. You know, and, well, that's what they do. That's what they do. You know, and then and of course you get kids out there think, well, gee, that's pretty good, interesting to do that. So you get, so it does recruit a little bit too. But that was fun there, and there.
How long did you do that for?
I did that for 4 years, about in there. About 4. I finished up. I went from 70. I think I went over to 74, and I left there in 78.
But as far as the
touring, oh, we'd go out for about 30 days at a time, and we'd come back. Somebody else would take over the vans, and they'd run it down to some other place. That van was out for months, you know. But we just changed crews every month. Where was that? Wherever we'd go, that's where we'd go out there and pick it up. Somebody pick it up and take it further.
So was the whole project maybe 30, or I mean maybe
a year and a half.
A year and a half. Okay.
Yeah, I started in the middle of 75, and ended at the end of 76.
Okay, that's a little longer than I was thinking.
Yeah, it's an inch and a half. It was a year and a half. Yeah. And then I was getting, my 4 years was up. I was a 4-year tour in there, and I said, well, I'm getting pretty hot for overseas assignments. I might as well sign up for something, try to put in for something I want to go, or not just let them make a decision. So I put in for Germany. Put me to Germany. And sure enough, I got orders for Germany. So. Went to Europe over there, Germany, and went to Ramstein, Germany, right around the south of Frankfurt. That's the name of the Kaiserslautern is the name of the town where the base was. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed there. I like going out. I had a Volkswagen, bought a Volkswagen over there. I just go down and downtown and drink, eat out and rest just down there. We eat some schnitzel, they call it schnitzel. Man, that was good. You know, boy, I just loved eating schnitzel down there. What it was pork, with cooked in a special way. It had a good flavor to it. And drink a beer with it, you know. And I wasn't a big drinker then, but I drink beer once in a while. I still do drink beer. Not very often now. I got some beer out in the refrigerator now. It's been in there for year and a half, and I ain't drank it all yet. But German beer was really good, you know. And when I go to work, I'd go home. We'd get off. We'd go back to at nighttime. We'd on night shift. They'd go back to the bowling alley. The bowling alley was still open, but we sit and drink beer in there, and then before we go back to the barracks and go to bed, you know. And when I lived out in the East Platte, those. Out at the edge of the base there, there's a motel, it's like a motel, like apartments, it's apartment buildings, like big building. And that's where I was living at. It's out in called Vogelway, and that's where I lived out Vogelway. And I went there and had these. I had a son, you know. I adopted a son. When I was first marriage, you know. And had him over there, and one of my exes, you know, a second woman I married, we got married. And she had a daughter, so we was all over there. And I adopted her later on after we went back. After I got back to Oklahoma, after I left Germany. And but anyway, I got to go over there, and it was just, Germany was just, I toured it. I mean, I went trips down to the Bavaria. John came over from the States, visit me. He was out of the service then. He come over there and visited me at my house, you know. And we took a trip down into Bavaria, way down south in my car, drove my little Chevy Nova down there. Drove it down there. We toured all around, went through the castles, and beautiful scenery, you know.
It's interesting that you came from such a small town in Ohio, and then you all seem to have a knack for adventure, for going.
Yeah, I did. I really like to run. I was on the go. Yes, well, I still on the go.
It's really interesting because a
Yeah,
lot of people
yeah,
from a small town
yeah,
that you meet, they want
yeah,
to stay in their small town.
yeah,
But it seems you guys all had the
yeah,
bug for
yeah,
exploring.
yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. Well, I love to take big vacations. I went to, me and her went to Germany twice. You know, we went over there twice, and I was over there, you know, before. But then I went back after I retired. Her and I went over there twice. And as a friend of mine that I went to school with, he went with us the second time we went over there, and he was retired out of the Navy, you know, and he lived down the street. I played with him as kids. You know,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, you and your brothers were stationed overseas. Did your parents ever come to visit overseas, or they prefer to stay home?
No, they never went overseas. One time she did take a trip up into what's that? Up in Massachusetts, up there at Cape Cod. Okay, Kenny, my brother Ken, he was stationed up there, and she did take a trip up there. Had a good time. Boy, she really enjoyed that place go up there. And Dad, he never, I don't think he ever, he didn't get him, he couldn't get him out of Flushing, really. You know, yeah, he always buddies and friends were there. He just took it. I think he accepted the kids all raised up and could take care of themselves, and he wasn't going to worry no more, you know. And
Okay, so by this time you were in Germany.
Yeah, yeah.
And things were going well.
Well, yeah, it's going well. Enjoying myself over there, yeah. Then,
and how many years did you have in at that point?
When I left Germany, I had, let's see, 18. I had 2 more years left when I left Germany. And I went to Tinker, Oklahoma. That's Oklahoma City. I got down in there. That's where I adopted my daughter at down there. And well, that there was, we had different kind of planes there. We had these planes that had the big domes on the top of it. Great big dome. When it fly, you can see it going, a dome going around like this. And we had two planes. We took 2 planes, or was it 2? Yeah, 2 or 3, no, 4 planes over to Saudi Arabia. They signed 4 of them over there. And whenever it's time for me to go, I mean, I go on trips over there once in a while. And we only went over there a month, you know, at a time. And I went over there, and we support the airplanes, fix the airplanes, you know, support just maintenance work on the airplanes. And the ties over there went downtown in the ties, and the ties are, you know, not ties, but the Arabs. People over there. The women had masks on, you know, see them on the street. They say, don't stare at a woman. When a woman's over there, they don't like that, you know. Yeah, so you didn't stare at them or like that. And it was.
So how long were you in Saudi for then?
I went over there 30 days at a time. I went over twice. Yeah, I went over there twice. I went back over a second time. Spent 30 more days over there, and. Our maintenance was, I only had one really big job that I did the whole time I was there. I think I remember. I probably had others, but this one we just flew over there. Me and some other guys that support the airplanes from Tinker. We got over there, and they had to. They went out and inspected the airplane after they got back, because they always inspected it every time it lands. And they found this big crack in the cowling, the engine, the cowling about that long. Man, that's a huge long thing. But it was an open area in the back. Oh, that's not bad. I can fix that. So I said, well, take it down to the shop. They had the equipment. We didn't have any equipment, you know, but the civilians were over there too. They had a shop. So I took it down to their shop. I had to take it down to their shop. I went down there and I fixed it down there at their shop there, because the civilians that was over there working, American civilians, they were working on Saudi planes, because the Saudis bought a lot of planes from the United States, and I can't think which kind they were. They had some fighters, F-15s, I think they had over there. But I wasn't involved in them. So I worked over there, and they didn't, and Air Force didn't send any military over there on. They sent had civilians working on them over there. So they hired civil service workers, what do you call them? What do you want to call them? And they go over there and make $100,000 a year. You know, that's what they made. They make good money, so I wouldn't mind doing that myself. You know, but I never did. I just want to finish up my time over in Saudi Arabia, get back, and I was getting closer to Oklahoma. I was getting closer to retirement time, you know. So I only had 2 years when I got there, and I put those 2 years in there and just running. I had a shop of 23 people that are working for me for my shop. In my shop, I had 23 guys working for me, GIs. So, and I didn't work on too much of the airplanes because I was the supervisor, you know. So I was running the shop, and but I'd send people out, you know, their flight line had to send people to docks and work in the phase docks where they called phase inspections, and they find repairs and they find write-ups. They had to send maintenance like us had to go and fix everything they found, you know, or sign off on it. And everything you had to sign off in the airplane records. If the airplane ever crashed, they had the records of the airplane, everything that's been worked on. See, they know what everything is worked on because they could track down what the problem was. Maybe it was a maintenance problem, or maybe somebody done something wrong or something. But other things too. They just wondered why it crashed, and they always investigated to find out why it crashed. And in my time, we had 2 or 3 planes crash. You know, we had one B-52 exploded up in North of Minnesota, up in Minnesota. He went up there, flying around up there, didn't come back. You know, yeah. Boy.
So what was the determination for the...
I don't know if they, I don't know if we ever do hear, unless it had something to do with us, we didn't hear about it. Exploded in the air, I guess. It crashed up in northern Minnesota. And when I was at Lincoln, Nebraska, way back, we had one take off at the end runway and crashed out. He didn't get up off the ground, and didn't get very high. He come back down, killed the pilot, the co-pilot, the navigator, and that. We had to go out there and clean up the mess. They asked for volunteers to go out. They went out there and had their other people, good people, go out and clean up the big stuff, you know. Anything that they might have missed, we went out to clean up the little pieces here, little pieces there, you know. And I found a strap where the guy looked like, you know, had the straps, things strapped onto him. These little, it's greenish looking, you know, and they're like a bone burnt to it, like it might have been strapped around his body. And a piece of a bone was stuck to it, you know, a guy's body. You know, it burnt, you know, he burned up in it, you know.
Did you find that created an emotional burden on the service members, the crew chiefs and the folks who worked on the plane?
Yeah, it is. You know, you think about that long. You know, every day you go to work, you still think about that plane crash. You know, yeah, I hope the folks are doing okay, or their family, and you know, it's well, you know, like I say, I don't know, nothing you could do about it, but it just happened, you know. And of course, we don't know the pilots. We don't mix with the pilots, you know, too much anyway, you know, unless just you happen to be your neighbor or somewhere like that. But they live in different housing areas, so you never know who your pilots are. And B-52s, we had somewhat at Wright at their probably at Wright Patch. We had one alert area, and they put those like for real thing. It was like a nuclear attack, you know. We put those out there. They had nuclear bombs on them, you know. Only on alert. They never took off. If they ever took off with a nuclear bomb, they was going to bomb it, use it, you know. And but it never did. It happened once at Wright Pat. Every time they put the nuclear bomb on there, when while it was sitting there, whenever it come off alert, it went back into flying every day. They had to put another one back and take its place, but they took the bomb off that airplane, and they never went airborne. That's how they did that. But they lived down in a hole in the ground, like in a big building, and it had a cement underground. You know, so they lived down because they got bombed. The base got bombed. They'd be down underground. See. And I was in there a couple of times, you know, because I had to go work on their planes up there. And they have, when you go up there and work in an alert area, you you got a guy you take with you, like the guy went with me, and also somebody inside the crew chief or somebody inside the hangar that station, it's in that group flies, you know. He had to go out there and watch you, everything called the broken arrow or something like that. You had to have somebody walking. That was a code word. And you had to watch, make sure, you know, you do everything right, and make sure when you got off a job, they watch. They just kept an eye on you because, you know, the airplanes had nuclear bombs on them, you know. But even though I had a security, you know, I had a badge on, you know, security, but they don't go for that. You got to have top secret to get in there. As a class higher, I just had a secret. I'm a clearance. I had a secret. And them guys up there, they got top secret stuff, you know. And to get into a top secret area, you can't get in with what I got on unless you're escorted in. And so that's about what I can think of.
Well, I imagine having your security clearance then helped you get a civilian job once you retired.
Yeah. I got out. Well, when I got out, that's the story. But it's not. It won't be too long. But I got out a civil service job. I got so I worked on these planes before. I still work on them. You know, so I got a civil service job at Wright-Patterson. You know, I was out of the service for about 6 months. I had to wait 6 months after I retired before I could work civil service. So I waited that 6 months. I put an application out there, and they called me up and said that you got a job, but you can't start until for 6 months, you know. So well, 6 months is up. And they called me up and said, "Well, come on to work," you know. So I give me time to move down there. I had to move from Sugar Creek down to Dayton here. And got me a place where I did move at. Gosh. Anyway, I worked. I came back to Wright-Pat anyway, but I. I went to work in this hangar, 206 on the base. They put work in there, and what we were doing now was a different type of job. It wasn't maintenance. It wasn't maintenance on the airplane like what I was doing in the Air Force. It was modifications. They were putting modifications, changing one thing to something else. We had to work with blueprints. You know, every job, everything we installed in that airplane had a blueprint, how it went in there, everything, what kind of fasteners it was. We had to get all that, do all that. It take days and days, you know, to do one thing. It's several things they did on all kinds of stuff. They put this big Snoopy nose. You remember this big Snoopy nose on the front of these airplanes that used to fly around here years back? They had like a Snoopy nose. Well, they took the nose off of these. They got these airplanes out of the boneyard, and they used to be American Airlines planes. American Airlines went out and sort of sold all their planes when they went bankrupt, and Air Force bought their planes, all of them, I guess, and they parked them out in Arizona on the desert out there in a boneyard, they called it. What they do is they bought them because they wanted the engines. That's the only reason they wanted them, the engines off of them. They took the engines, because they had bigger engines on it. The Boeing one, the American Airlines plane had a smaller engine, and when they put these engines on American Airlines, they want to put those big engines put these big engines on this one we're modifying. So they changed it, had a bigger engine on it. You know, it had more power. And we put all kinds of racks of electronic top secret stuff inside this, the racks inside this airplane. It's a 300 series. It's a long version of the 707.
And what was the purpose for that?
It was equipment. I think where they could get information. You know, they fly over places and detect satellites. You know, some satellite work too. Some satellite work from satellites and stuff. Okay. And they could use them for detecting planes so far away from you. And down in Oklahoma had that too. They had that one of the big wheel around it there, and that's what it
had some fun stuff, didn't it?
Yeah, I liked it. I liked Oklahoma. Yeah, but it was a pretty good song. I kind of enjoyed it down there. But when I wanted to get out, I had enough, you know.
Yeah. Well, so once you were here working at Wright Pat as a civilian, how long did you do that?
I worked at 9.5 years. Yeah, about 9.5 years, almost 10. So I had working for the Air Force. I had another 10 years almost. Yeah. And
And then you decided it was time to retire, or did you make a career?
Well, I was 55 or 56, something like that. And I think I'm going to retire, you know. I was the age, just got to the age where I could retire at that age, you know. I'm out now. She was working at the base. And she worked about 2 more years after I retired. She retired 2 years after I did retire. We just been out running every place.
Yeah, so now that you're enjoying retirement,
yeah.
Do you have hobbies or what sorts of things?
Oh, yes. The banjo up there, I built that. I like that.
Fun.
Yeah, I plan on building a guitar too. Yeah, I like to tinker with doing things like electric work. I like working. What? Oh, with golf. Yeah, I did that. I golfed and bowled. Yeah, I did that too. That was hobbies. Yeah. Did all that, and we always her and I make trips all the time. He's going to Florida every year. And made some trips to Germany. I don't know where else we went.
Traveling and enjoying the good life.
Yeah, and I still got it in my guts to do it. all I got to do is call the base out here, Wright Patterson. And if there's an airplane with an empty seat on it, I can jump on that airplane and go wherever I want to go with it, you know. But I got to worry about how to get back, though.
That's the struggle, right? That's the struggle. The money is saved getting there.
It's easy to get there, but it's not that easy to get back.
Yeah.
But there's times that when I was going to where was that? I was going to California. Took hops to California, and. My brother was stationed out there, and I was out there visiting. And I was still. How was it? He was retired too. He was working for the government too, but he wasn't civil service. He was contractor. Worked as contractor. And he parked the airplanes. He worked in the place where airplanes all park, and he was sort of in charge of where you park the airplanes at and all. Hey, put it over here. Hey, told him put them over there. You know, and they had to fuel them up when they come in. They fuel them up, and he did that for he did that for 20 some years. More. Yeah, he really had some time on his. He worked for that in there. I think another 20 years or more. And I went out there to see him a couple of times. I took a hop on an airplane, flew out there. And visiting for a week or so. He'd come back home, you know.
Nice.
I went down to Albuquerque, see my brother down there a couple of times. I flew down there, got off an airplane, come back. One time I had to come back commercial because I couldn't get a ride back. But I got there. Just me and a general flew down there. The general flight is his airplane. It's his airplane, and I flew down. They flew him to Albuquerque, and well, gee, Dave's there, and just being that general sitting back in the back seat, and it's a woman pilot up there flying it, and another guy was a co-pilot up there. It's a little plane, it's a C-121. But that's about the story about the things.
All right. Well, a question that we like to ask at the end is, what advice you would have for future generations?
Huh?
What advice would you have for future generations?
Well, I say, live right. You know, live right. Do the best you can, and make sure yourself, you're the number one person you got to worry about. Make sure you're straight. I mean, you got it. You got yourself together, and grow up and be somebody. You know, get yourself. Don't ever think I can't do this, I can't do that. You know, I could do a lot of things. Yeah, now since I've been in service, I could do masonry work, I could do carpentry work. I learned all those things in the military. You know, being in the military, I do them now. That's what's kept me busy here. I was living over in Xenia before I moved over here, and I practically did everything in that house, outside and in. You know, redid everything, and except put the carpet in. I didn't put the carpet in, but I did anything else on the outside or under the house or inside the house. I put new cabinets in the house and did a lot of stuff, work. A lot of changing. I mean, the house was never updated, right? And I updated it. You know, putting up new stuff in it, better stuff. It made it look newer, like more watered house. Yeah, that's about. I'd say just take your life as, hey, you're the number one person. You know, you got to work. Help anybody you could help. You help anybody you could help. If you could help them, and make friends. You can make as many friends you can, and just be the best you could be. Yeah, that's just how I feel. I do it. Be honest as you can. I mean, I don't care. Never lie. If you lie, it better be a small one. But I never had done anything where it's a lie that in my life I'm sorry for. You know, I don't think. I'm sorry I made a few marriages. You know, I'm sorry I made mistakes there. And I had my son. You know, my son, he passed away, and I had a lot of problems. His mother was not accept him after she left. She just backed up and left and never accepted him anymore. He wanted to go see her. She didn't have time for him or something like that, you know. And she lived only across the town.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
But it is. And the girl I adopted, she's still in Oklahoma City. Yeah.
Do you still have contact?
No, because she's her mother and her, we never got along the greatest, you know. And she threw Jeff out of the house. You know, didn't want him to stay there no more. And I said, well, if Jeff's got to go, I'm going too. Mm-hmm. You know, so Jeff and I packed our bags and headed back to Ohio. You know.
Yeah, life can be hard.
I got divorced down there before I left. Yeah. Yeah, it was some really hard times as far as with, because I was single a lot of my time in the military. Boy, and having Jeff with me, you know, well, it was a job, you know. I guess evidently I didn't do a good job, very good enough, but I didn't have no help, you know, and I needed it.
I'm sure you did a fine job. Life is just unpredictable.
Yeah. Well, it's. I think I'll be buried right next to Jeff anyway. Yeah. And John's buried down there now too. John's buried there. My mom's dad's buried there. John's son's buried there. They're all right there together. Jerry will be buried there. Jerry and his wife. So there'll be a bunch of them right down through there.
You'll all be together. There's
about eight or 10 lots all right together there. Yeah. I guess that's about all I could talk about. I'm getting kind of emotional here.
Okay, well that concludes our interview with Larry Litten. Thank you for your time today, and thank you for your military service.
I'm sorry you had to stay so long.
Don't be sorry.
Probably talked the legs off of you, probably. You want me to start here?
Go ahead.
Well, my name's Larry Litten. From the Litten family. And we live here in Flushing, Ohio. And this is my brother Jerry here. And we got bored down in
Flushing, Ohio.
Flushing, Ohio. And
9 other brothers and sisters and all that.
Yes, 9 other brothers and sisters. And we all grew up in the same house.
Yeah,
did.
the old house.
We
really.
we tore it down way later. We built Mom a brand new house.
Yeah.
You know, later in
Mom and Dad.
'64.
1964.
And that they didn't have anything. They didn't have anything. We felt they did a lot for us, and we better do something for them. So we bought them. We bought them a couple cars. You know, John helped with a lot of that, and we all threw in, got allotment checks. In the military, we had allotment checks sent to our mother for money to buy the house with. You know, so she got a check every month. The house was paid off. So it was nice, you know. And Bob, Dad seemed like he was a more happier person since he had his own house. It was paid for. He didn't have big payments there, so it was enjoyable for him.
Yeah. In our younger days, I think that while we was in school and so forth like that, you know, we used to fight a little bit between us and all, get mad at each other and all that. But I don't think we ever really injured each one or something like that. But we just had a lot of fun running around town and not raising too much heck.
I think I'm the only one that probably got in a fight once in a while with one of my brothers. That was my brother Dave. He lives in Albuquerque. He used to get down on the floor and wrestle. It would not hit and swing at fists or anything, but I was upset about it, really mad about something. And he was just trying to hold me down, you know, 'cause I was mad. And,
my oldest brother used to go around and crack you on the head or something like that.
Yeah.
Did something wrong. Something like that.
Yeah. What are you doing? Yeah. And,
But,
yeah, and I remember one day my older brother, Dad got him Dad got him a BB gun for Christmas, I believe it was. And he took it out, just played around with it there. And Dave was running around with him, and but John was with one of his friends. And Dave was following him, and John kept telling Dave to go back home, get back on home. You know? So he shot the BB gun down at Dave, and I guess the BB was a fling to hit Dave on the arm or leg or something a little bit. It didn't hurt him or anything.
It depends on which brother you ask for.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, brother, yes.
They never agreed on.
No, they never agreed on it. No,
who got shot at.
But Dad took that BB gun when he got it, and he was so mad. He took that BB gun out there and whacked it on the sidewalk out there in the front of the house and bashed it all up pieces. The poor BB gun.
We were never allowed to have a gun after that.
But I think we all grew up in a family. We all grew up really, really good.
Yeah,
I mean, just
loving each other.
Yeah, we really supported each other. The whole family, the girls including, you know, the girls they all completed, always cared about, you know, what they were doing, and they were okay, you know, and
whenever we got up to high school level, though, graduated from high school, a lot of them left town.
Yeah, there was. We kind of slowly left Flushing.
Larry stayed and worked in the dairy for a while.
Yeah, well, that's another story. That when we was about 12, 13, 14 years old, 15 maybe, there's a dairy, creamery dairy down in below our town, just down the street from us, where we lived at, you know, just 100 yards away, and. This driver was always looking for somebody to help him on their routes, you know, to deliver the milk to the house milk. We had that back in them days.
Yeah, delivery.
And I usually worked with the guy, my neighbor guy, our neighbor we had there. His name was Harry Blakemore, and I helped him most all the time. But I helped some of the other guys too once in a while. Jerry, you pretty much stuck with
I helped Jumpy Davis.
Jumpy Davis, yes.
We had to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
Okay, go down there and help them load the milk a little bit and all that.
Yeah.
And my guy I helped, we usually get back around noon, 1 o'clock or something like that. And I earned a whole 50 cents for that. And one other guy I used to help sometimes, he didn't even pay you.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I mean, I'd have done it for nothing. I would have, just because.
Well, we got a pint of chocolate milk.
Well, yeah, you got out of the house too. Got out of town. Actually, we were only 14, 15. So, boy, I've been to another town. This is a city, you know. Our town was so small. Everything I went into was a city. Today, and and Kenny, now Kenny was the other brother. He all three of us in the picture, in that picture, was three of us that joined the service the same day. All three of us worked on the railroad.
When he graduated, he took off and went to Indiana.
Yeah, he graduated on that.
Whiting, Indiana, something like that.
Whiting, Gary up Indiana, somewhere up in there, up around Chicago. Not very far out of Chicago.
I think Dad got mad if he went up there too, didn't he?
Yes, Dad. He wanted me to go up and get him and bring him back home. I said, I can't do that. You know, I didn't have nothing decent to drive to go up there anyway. But he wanted me to go up there if I take a bus or what.
Yeah.
So anyway, Kenny, he did finally come back anyway. I don't know why. I guess we was all going to talk about going to service. I was getting up in age. I had my own car there at the time at the home. I was working there. I worked at the dairy, made a little bit of money, so I had a car. It was one of my second oldest brother, Dave's car. It was his car, and he let me drive it while he was in the military. So I pretty much drove it most of the time. When he come home on leave, he'd get it back. And so he
used to go out and lay in that car in the front seat, listen to country music all night long.
I'd sleep in that car all night long. We could listen to the country music. I'd listen to Nashville, Tennessee, and someplace in Chicago.
El Paso?
Well, I even picked up El Paso, Texas, the station down there. It was a XERF, or no, XEG.
I don't remember what it was.
XEG.
I remember hearing it.
XERF was in Del Rio, Texas. XERF. Yeah. And but anyway,
I guess that's when we decided we might as well go.
Yeah, we going to. I was getting close to 22 years old. You know, I was getting close to 22. So hey, I got to go to the military. They're going to be. Draft's going to be after me. You know. So I decided I'd join up, and somehow Kenny must have come home and decided he's going to join up. And Jerry says, "I'm going too."
I just graduated, so I might as well go.
Yeah, so it was three of us. So we're all going to go. So we all went down. How did we get down there?
Dad took us over to the recruiters over there in St. Clair.
Oh, Dad took us over there? Okay. Dad took us over to the recruiters.
And we rode down
all signed up in
Wheeling with him.
All signed up in the Air Force there.
Took us up to Pittsburgh.
He took us up to, the recruiter took us to Pittsburgh. Yeah, early in the morning. We had got up early in the morning. He took us up to Pittsburgh. We got sworn in, took our physicals up there. We never went back home after that. They put us on a plane up there in Pittsburgh. A little C-47, noisy thing. It flew us to San Antonio, Texas. Never stopped all the way. One month flight. Dropped us off down there. Next thing you know, we was sitting in some dark room. They give us our dog tags. Was it dog tags or something? They give us some stuff or something.
All your clothing and all that.
Well, I think next day maybe they got.
Oh, I think during the middle of the night. You just processed us through it. Yeah, we got down there in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Give us our uniforms and all that sort of stuff.
That's how I started the military anyway. But
what did I get myself into?
Yeah.
Then when that TI started yelling at you,
yeah.
Lord, what did I get myself into?
Yeah. I tell you, I just kind of stayed right behind somebody, or I just didn't want to catch you, look me down, you know. But like I say, I think Jerry said something about it. One time we was walking we was going to get our pictures taken down because three of his brothers was in the same barracks, and they was going to take our picture down at the base there in San Antonio. And we was going up there, and this major, he was our squadron commander or something like that.
Yeah, I was commander.
And you know, we walked by. We thought, well, we're further away. You know, we don't have to salute. Well, that didn't work. He got me. He said, "Hey, but you know you're supposed to salute airmen." He kind of chewed us out for that.
Yeah. I think that's about the only time I ever got.
Yeah. We played. Oh, another thing. We through our school days. We played. Kenny was very good at basketball, baseball, football. He was always a star, no matter. And I played baseball, and I did pretty good too. But I didn't play football or basketball. I liked that we should have played football. I wasn't interested too much in basketball.
That's the only one I wish I would have played football.
But I liked football. But I ended up not going. I went out for it, but I actually just said, I don't think I'd do this. Yeah. But so I went to baseball. I had 2 good years of high school baseball. First year, I did pretty good. You know. Second year, I had the highest batting average, you know, on the team. It was over 500, you know. And boy, and I went into the third year. The coach says, he started out the year, he come in here, he says, hey, it's third year, hey, now remember, we got a good hitter here, and you got Kenny back, you know, boy, we're going to have a good year now, you know, this before the season, we start practicing. And which we won, I think, the local championship in there all 3 years I was there. And Kenny played it I didn't play the last year. I didn't play the senior year because I was 20 years old. And they didn't allow you play. I had flunked 2 years of school, first grade, fourth grade. So I just turned 20 when I graduated. You know, I returned on the 3rd of May. I was 20, and baseball sort of ran up until the end of May. You know, so I didn't get to play that last year. So I had a good batting average there too. It wasn't as high as the other year. I think it was 360 something like that. But I was kind of disappointed. It was a little bit. I should have did better.
Like you said, Kenny was really good in it, and I think that's the reason why Dad sent somebody up there to get Kenny back. Yeah. I think he wanted Kenny to go for some other, maybe a
college or something.
Yeah, small college or something like that, because he got a lot of accolades for his baseball and especially basketball, really. And I think that's what he wanted.
Yeah, you know,
my dad could get awful upset if he made like one mistake or something like that. He might have been the hero of the game or something like that, but if he made one big boo-boo, that's what my dad remembered, really.
He was pretty hard on us about playing ball.
He wanted us all to play ball.
Yeah, he played ball.
Well,
he was a track. He had track. We didn't have track when I went to. I went to the same school. We went to the same school that he did. But they didn't have any track when I was there. And Mom, she went to school in Holla, Jockey Hall, I call it.
Jockey Holla.
It was down below Flushing, down in the country, in the woods, you might say. Just a big bunch of land, you know, bunch of farm fields. They tore. It wasn't coal then, but it turned into coal. The big coal company over there bought the land. They stripped it all up and all that. But the house stayed there for a long, long time. I was born down there, in my aunt's house. Not in that house. I was born in my aunt's house. And
who's that?
Aunt Edith's house down there, Jockey Hall.
She lived down there?
Yeah, Aunt Edith lived down there, yeah. I was born at her house, and I guess somebody went to town to get the dock. That was a long way. I don't remember anything back because I wasn't just being born. But anyway, the Doc Lowe's come down and brought me into the world, you know. And my Aunt Edith, she wanted to call me, name me Ronald. Ronald, yes. Mom said, no, I like Larry, you know. So it turned out it was Larry Ronald Litten. Basically, that's how I got my name, full name, man. But we as growing up, we went fishing down the hollow there a lot. We walked down there many times in there, and go fishing down there, just goofing around, you know.
After we moved uptown, the house up there, we had a pretty big lot and had a big garden and all that. But we also we made our own baseball field.
Yeah, we bats too.
We create our own games, you know. Our bat might be a limb. We get a nice straight off a tree. Yeah. We make a ball out of. I always remember. I don't know why, Wonder Bread, and it was different wrappings and all that. Now we roll up and all, and then we just rolled all up in electrical tape and all that, and that would be our ball. And it wouldn't last too long, you know. But we just go make another one or something like that. But we used to have our own rules. We even built a fence up around. And there'd be three of us, probably me and Larry and Kenny most of the time. One
and
batter,
Dave
one
too.
pitcher, and an outfielder. That's all we had.
Dave.
And I don't remember Dave, but anyways.
Yeah, Dave played.
But anyways, we had that fence. If you hit over the fence, you got to run. If you didn't hit over the fence, it's an out.
Had to be a home runner.
You had to take your turns, you know. But we played a lot amongst ourselves and all that. And we used to play football, right?
Oh,
in
night
the street,
football.
right in front.
In the street,
Right in the
yes.
street.
Yes.
Yeah. Spring Street, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
We play football.
Yeah, we used a tin can, a milk can. Yeah, that was, and we just take like that. It spiraled. It was like a football.
Anything we could for a
We
football
later on got a football. But
oh yeah.
a little thing, but
Probably
we
got
started out with tin cans, pet milk cans, pet milk.
Yeah.
Concentrated milk, you know.
Yeah.
And we say Jigs and Maggie to the left. That meant right out there, you turn left. And it's Jigs and Maggie to the right. You got to turn right. That's our play, Jigs and Maggie. We made that up. And we sat there playing just, and that telephone pole was the goalpost here, and the end of our sidewalk down in front of the house.
Yeah.
On the other end was the other end zone. So, and we played that way, and we went out. We went down along the railroad tracks, played around the railroad tracks. Try to walk through the tunnel. I don't know if Jerry ever got through the tunnel or not,
No,
but we
I never
started.
did.
You did?
No,
Well, me and somebody was walking through that tunnel one time. We got about halfway, maybe over halfway. We thought we heard a train coming. Oh God Almighty! So we
Get
turned
outta
around,
here.
went back. And if we'd have went forward, we'd have probably got there for the
Closer.
train anyway.
Probably been closer. Yeah.
But anyway, I didn't make it all the way through that. It was about that tunnel had to be better than a half mile.
yeah.
It went right under Flushing, right near the schoolhouse, the high school schoolhouse there, and down under the garage was the park. My dad built this park down there. I mean, he was in on it anyway. The town built this.
That's where I had my first drink of beer.
Was it?
My dad offered it to me.
Yeah.
He was helping them build the park, the baseball field, the football field, and all that.
It's a
And
big one too.
He went out to the Bumblebee and used to get the beer for the guys that go up in the dozer and all that sort of stuff. And he had a beer. And he said, "You want a drink?" I said, "No, I don't want." "Go on, have a drink, have a drink." "No, I don't want one." "Have a drink." So I took a drink. And I thought it tasted so terrible. I didn't think I'd ever drink that. Unfortunately, I did start drinking.
I'll tell you what's better than cigarettes. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, that's true.
I traced my first cigarettes as God. I ain't never gonna smoke them things. And I never smoked. Never did. Never took it up. Dad said, he told us kids. He says, "I'll tell you that." He says, "Don't try not to drink or smoke it, but I'll tell you, if you smoke, it's hard to quit." He said, "You drink." I could
smoke.
You could probably drink. You could probably get away. But he says smoking, Dad, don't smoke. That I guess 3 of us did start smoking, or 4, something like
I
that.
did. We used to sneak up to a
Yeah.
single guy lived right by the dairy. We go up there. And
Yeah.
Sometimes we could bum a cigarette off of him and all that.
Yeah. I never carried a cigarette. I never carried a pack of cigarettes in a lie. I'm not saying I didn't smoke one.
I did once too many.
Yeah,
I was at a roller rink. They built a roller rink when I was
yeah.
a young kid there.
I never liked it. That's just
I had a lot of
it was
fun.
right, it was terrible.
But I had these shirts that you could see through them. You know, it's like a dress shirt, but you could see through them. And I was out there roller skating one night, and I had a pack of cigarettes in my pocket. You know, and I'm going around, and all of a sudden, when I go around, there's my dad standing right there. You can see this. He said he stood there. Next time I came around, there wasn't no cigarettes there. He didn't say a whole lot to me, but he told me about it.
He was hard on us kids, but he really cared about us. So
Yeah.
I really didn't realize until I talked to my aunt, my aunt Helen. She says, "You know, your dad loves you kids, you know." But we never really thought, I figured he cared.
He
But
was just trying to straighten us out.
straighten us out. But one thing he did not want. His kids in trouble with the law.
Oh no!
No, you don't bring no law that cop that out. So we had to watch what we was doing, who was playing with, and where we was going. Stay out of trouble. That was the main thing, and we pretty much did. We got blamed for a couple of things, but I had the cops come down, but it wasn't
No.
us.
But I don't think I ever got. Well, I know I never got a whipping from my dad. My mom used to whip me a little bit.
Yeah, well, Mom, yeah,
But,
did.
but I think I'd rather get a whipping from my dad before I would a chewing out.
Well, yeah, I would too. I would have too. Dad,
he could chew you out if you did something wrong.
yeah.
Yeah.
We always hope Mom, he'd come home and hope Mom would whip it. But Mom told me, he says, I usually try to straighten you up, because Dad never found out till the next day or that night when he come home, because he didn't get home till 9 o'clock at night. But Mom would usually, catch us, you did something rotten. She'd get out of that
Pear tree or
that lilac bush down there. I had a lilac bush down there. Get me a stick, bring it up here. Get her a stick. She'd whip us, because she wanted to make sure when Dad come home that she'd already took care of it, and that way we didn't have Dad whip it on us. But he did give us a good chewing out. But
in later years, she'd give you a whipping, but it wasn't hard. You'd cry just so she could quit.
Yeah. We all did that. We cried the first time they hit the first swatch. We was crying. Yeah, but it was really meaningful.
Nice town to grow up in too.
It was good town to grow up in. It was.
Never had any troubles.
Had a good friend down there.
I don't think. Just a nice little town.
I had a good friend down there him and I run around quite a bit. We had a guy, his name was Eugene. He ran around. He had a car. And he was single. I was single, and I had a car. And we used to run around together. He'd take my car, sometimes take his car here, like that. And, in fact, I don't want to get into that either. But anyway, it was overall life there was. It was really good.
Nice place to grow up.
Yeah, we could get.
Good place to leave too.
Yes.
Nothing there now.
Yep. We could pretty much go. Say when we was 12, 13 years old, we could go uptown by ourselves. Uptown by 12, 13, maybe even younger.
Oh yeah, probably
younger. Go up uptown.
We run all over the place.
Yeah, Mom never knew where we was at. Well, we take off, go here. She never cares. As long as we came home, but not come home late.
She said, I figure you'll come home when you get hungry.
Yeah.
If you get home too late, there won't be any left.
Anything left, yeah.
That's the way it was.
If there wasn't, though, we always fix up something ourselves.
Yeah, we find something.
Yeah.
I remember one brother one night was hungry. He made himself a ketchup sandwich.
Yeah.
Ketchup and bread.
They had fried potato sandwiches, too.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, too, about certain things that, like when you were growing up your whole time, you were fed bologna sandwiches, or a lot of times we used to get what we call chopped ham sandwiches, or beans, or fried potatoes. But that's three of my most favorite foods still to this day, especially fried potatoes. My wife has never cooked too many fried potatoes.
Yeah.
Never.
I haven't had any good fried potatoes lately.
I haven't either, really.
No, they don't make them like we used to make them. I mean, Mom used to make them. She made good ones.
Well, it's hard to make for one person. My wife don't particularly care for them. She'll eat them, but she don't. But you got to fix a big iron skillet full of them to get some good fried potatoes.
I do that now. Right now, maybe once in a while I can do it. I don't do it very often, but fry up a great big skillet of potatoes, and I'll eat what I want of them, and I'll throw them in there, and I'll put them in the refrigerator. If they cool, I eat them next day, and they always tasted pretty much the same. They still tasted real good.
I never had any left the next day.
I cooked up a big skillet full just for me and her, And, but I end up eating most of them anyway. But, boy, I tell you, hamburger is about steak to us. If we got hamburger, that's close as we got to steak.
I almost enjoy it as much as a steak anymore.
And believe me, the hamburger was a lot better than they are now. They didn't have all that filling in it. They put like soybean all in nowadays. Soybean, it's only half hamburger and half something else. They don't taste the same.
I think it's our taste buds changed too, though.
Well, maybe. I remember clear back in the early '80s. It didn't taste the same. The hamburgers.
Well, I know they don't.
Even the '70s.
Because your taste buds change. They taste different now.
Yeah.
There's things now that I wouldn't eat when I was 30, 40, 50 years old.
Yeah.
But I eat them now.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. I didn't care for spaghetti, but now I love it.
No, I don't care much for
Yeah.
Italian food.
But,
My wife knows it too.
yeah, yeah.
As far as the service with your brothers, how did your first brother come to join the Air Force?
Well, I think he was about to get drafted too. I think. No,
Probably
he wasn't.
so.
I think. No, I don't know. I don't know if he was. I don't think so. I think because I think he was 19, and I think his draft age was older. Maybe I don't know. It's about around Korean War time. That's what it was. And so he, when he joined up, he decided he couldn't get a good find a job either. To find a job was his problem, I think. And he talked to his good friend Archie Thrash, I think it was. And they said, well, let's go to the Air Force. So they both went down, and I guess Dad took them down there, and they signed up in the Air Force, both of them. Yeah. And my cousin, I had a cousin at the time, my brother kept asking me, I says, Bill, he says, well, you come in and join the Air Force with us. We're going. Bill says, oh, no, because he had a fight with his girlfriend in high school. And he quit school before. He never did go all the way. And after they got broke up, I think he just quit school. And John tried to get him to go in the Air Force. He says, no, I'm going in the Army. You know. Well, he went in the Army, and he sent him to Korea. They got killed over there. He was worked on tanks. He was a tank mechanic, and I guess he had a tank broke down out someplace, and they sent him and some crew out there to bring it back to where they could fix it. And I guess when they bring it back, a tank had rolled over or something, and he was up on the tank, rolled over embankment, and went over. He got killed there, and I remember that. That was Billy, yeah. And John and Billy was growing up.
Oh, yeah,
they were really good friends. Him and Bill, they played down Jockey Hall. That's where John was born down there too. He was the first one down there, and Bill was born down there too. And they just played together. They was really good buddies and friends. I
think that next oldest brother, Dave, though, he almost got drafted in the Army up to about the final day. After he got his draft notice, the oldest brother, John, called up his commander or something like that and asked him if somehow that he could get John or Dave enlisted in the Air Force the next day. So they finagled something. I don't know how they did. The commander helped him. And John called back home and said, Dave has to be up here at Wright Patterson. This is down Flushing Heights. By 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, something like that, the next morning. Yeah. Otherwise, he's in the Army. Yeah. He got up there somehow, and you got him listed. He had his
draft notice already. He had to report.
I think somebody, I don't know if they called home or something like that, wanted to know where he was, and they said, oh, he's in the Air Force.
He's in the Air Force. They'd let it go there. Okay.
They finagled it to get him
finagled out, He spent 23 years in more than any of us. Yeah.
Was he the only one drafted then?
He was never drafted.
But he got his
received a letter.
Yeah, he received a letter. I almost did. I almost did.
Yeah.
But I went down there because I got to go in, I picked going to the Air Force. Well, yeah, that's a good place. John was in the Air Force, and Dave was in there. I just joined them, And we went in there, and while we were in the military, not change the subject or anything, but went to the military, we seemed like we always crossed paths with each other. Where I was here, Jerry maybe came through there, maybe Jerry got signed there, and I left. Sometimes it was two of us on one base at the same time, a couple of times. And we always go out of our way, to fly from here, take a vacation, go to Europe. I go over there and visit John, My wife over there, Leona there. We went over there a couple of times on our own self, after that. We went over there and toured around Germany. We were around Germany. Saw the castles and went down to Bavaria. It was beautiful down there.
That was a lot of fun going to the Oktoberfest over there.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I was over there, went to it twice.
I like the way the Germans lived over there. Now, if you was going to, Germany's really neat, except you go into a city that's just Americanized. You know, it's more Americanized. But you get out in the smaller towns and all that, they're back in.
They're German.
Germans, yeah, they're German, yeah.
German.
Yeah, but yeah, Kenny was stationed. Kenny was over in Germany a couple of times, a couple of tours, I think. He was Frankfurt.
I know he was at Rhine, Maine.
Rhine, Maine, yeah. I think he was there a couple of times, I think, different times. In England, too, a time.
Well,
once.
he was in England a couple of times.
Was it? Well, maybe he was there in England, maybe Germany once. Maybe. But John and I, me and John, the oldest one, I've been on the same base as him 4 times in my career, you know, but different. We never was there together. Yeah. I was there. I was on all 4 bases, and he was on these 4 bases, but never at the same time. It was Tinker, Oklahoma, Lockport, Ohio, Wright-Patterson, Ohio, and Ramstein, Germany. So I was there on all the same base. That's what he kept asking me. He said, "Well, what's it like over there in Germany? What they got? What kind of planes they got over there now?" You know, I got F-4Cs, and well, I worked on I think he said 102s or something like that because he was over there earlier, 104 maybe or something.
I always wanted to go overseas, but it took me a long time to get over there, and I never got over there. But one time in Holland, and of course Vietnam.
Yeah.
I was always volunteer for overseas.
But I'll probably get into my interview anyway. I'm doing. I should be doing that. I'll let it go.
So John joined first.
Yes.
And then Dave.
Yes.
And then the 3 of you together.
Yes.
And then, so by then there are 5 boys.
Yes.
In the Air Force. When did the last 2 join?
Art joined a year after
60,
us.
I think he joined 60,
Art, next year he got out of school, went in. Yeah. And he only spent 3 years, 9 months, something like that. He signed up for 4 years, but when it came time, coming up close to his 4th year, they had when they let him out early because they was cutting back.
He was over in Turkey.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when he came back when he was due to come back to the States, he'd only have like 4 months left in the service. Well, the military
is that what it was?
Send you someplace for 4 months.
Yeah. Okay.
And then have to pay you to send you back to Ohio. So they just separate them.
So he didn't spend it. Yeah. And Stevie was the last one. You know, and he didn't go in until 67. 67 he went in, 67. And,
I don't know if I told you earlier, the reason Stevie didn't, or Art didn't stay in is because he was stationed at Knob Noster, Missouri.
Yeah.
And he went home and got married down in Portugal, someplace down there. And when he got back, he had orders for Turkey. And of course, he had to go over there.
He wasn't at Knob Noster very long, I don't think. About a year, maybe.
Well, maybe a little bit longer.
Yeah.
So what were your parents, how did they feel about all of their sons joining the Air Force? I imagine they're very proud.
They was, very proud, yes.
You didn't have to give him an opportunity to bring it up.
I know. He'd go into the bars and probably talk about what his sons, they wouldn't know what his sons are doing. Where's they at, or what are they doing? You know?
He always wanted to bring you with you.
Yeah.
I'd go home on a weekend or something like that. Let's go up to the Legion.
Yeah.
He wanted to take you up there to the Legion and start talking about it and all the rest of them and all that.
He was.
Imagine other people probably they got tired of hearing about it. But whatever.
He was a pretty good sports guy too in school. And he was just very strict, you know. And I'm glad he was. You know, look back, because I could look back on my life.
I don't give him all the credit. I don't take some myself.
Yeah, well, yes. I mean, I understand that. But he got us started. Yeah.
He put us on the right track.
Yeah.
Us to
stay there. Even going through the military, we stayed out of trouble. I was like, don't get in trouble. Don't get in trouble with the commander. Don't get in trouble with anybody. And I tell you, I did lots of work on these airplanes, a lot of work. When where the supervisor at the shop always sent me out on a lot of, especially the big jobs, you know, the big job, because I was pretty good at sheet metal work. And he'd get out there and he'd always count on me. You know, inspectors come in, and we had to do a ORI, oral readiness inspection, or SAC something inspection or something, and he would. As well, we got to do a job. They would grade me on it, you know. So they graded everybody, you know. You know, the shop. It wasn't just for everybody. It was just the shop is grading. And they give me a job, put a leading edge of it. Couldn't give me a harder job as a leading edge of a engine, leading edge of the cowling around the front of the engine. You know, had right where the had a bird hit damaged right there, and I had to cut that out and see how it curves around like this. You know, and it's hard. You can't get in buck rivets. You know, and you know, what's this? Usually, you have to make spatial bucking bars somehow to get in there and do that. It pops a lot of blind rivets in it. They call it blind rivets in it. You know. Anyway, I worked on it there. I was supposed to get it done in a day, but there's no way I could get it done all day. But I got it down about half, maybe 3/4 of the job done. And the inspector, his name was Leroy Stevens. His name, you know, and the reason I say I can remember his name is because he came to the base about 6 months later, and I was working for him in the base. He came in to be our supervisor, my supervisor then. They come from Washington D.C. These people, you know. And he always said, give me the hard jobs and big jobs. You know, always wanted to get me on it. I changed canopies off the F4Cs. You know, the glass, you know, the lookout, a big old canopy. And
well, to get back to the family.
Yeah.
I think the hard part about being in the military is that we're all over the place now.
Yeah.
You know, I got a brother down there in Albuquerque I haven't seen in years, really. And you get to see your other brothers every once in a while, you know.
Yeah.
That I really missed that. Really.
Yeah.
I always wish that we could all be in Flushing.
Yeah.
Like that, or close by, really.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, there was three of them. Three of us always sort of just didn't get around too much, you know. Kenny went out to California.
You're married, you know, when you're married.
Yeah, we got married, yeah. And Art was pretty by himself a lot. You know, he was different, a little bit different than the rest of us. A little bit different. But he was a good kid, don't get me wrong. He was good, yeah.
Excuse me. He was a good kid, but he'd do a little more daring stuff than we would.
Yeah, he was more, yeah. Oh, yeah, he'd do things that we would never do.
I remember when he used to drink beer, too, and all that.
Yeah. Yeah. But he was more forward than we were, too.
In high school, you know.
He was more forward than we were. I mean, he seemed like he would make friends, easy, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, easy. Yeah.
He wasn't bashful.
No, he wasn't.
I was pretty shy.
Yeah, I was too.
I kind of got over a little bit of it last time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess.
But just a fun time, and
yeah,
glad I did it.
Yeah. I think I burnt that road up Route 70 all the way to eastern Ohio. I mean, when I was stationed up here at Wright, and I was at Lockboard at both bases. I'd go back down home every other weekend when I could, back and forth. I bet you I've driven 250,000 miles or more on a car, total car. I've had about 80 cars in my life, and I put miles on all of them. I did. I bought lots of cars.
Every time he starts talking to me about his car, I don't remember you ever having that car.
Yeah.
I don't remember you having
Well, I never had them that long, you know. Yeah. They were old cars, you know. You know, when they get something wrong with them, you know, well, I better get rid of this and get something else. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing
Yeah,
your memories
yeah.
of your childhood.
Yeah,
It'll be great to add in.
yeah.
Okay.